Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. After posting the video late last night or early this morning on the pawpaws, I noticed I had a few comments. Several of you had mentioned about more wild edible videos. Well, we're going to do just that. Lord willing, me and Catfish John's going to go out, see what we can find, see what we can maybe bring to you. That's my little dog Sadie making all that noise, so please ignore her. But wild edibles, just like anything else, you know, you don't know what all you'll be able to find, and what you'll be able to find this time of year may or may not be what you can find another time of year. And you know, your terrain where you live, there may be differences, so always check around. And it's good to know, good to have this information. We enjoy it just like as a hobby, you know, but you never know when you can fall back and this can really come in handy. But just like it, whether it's domestic plants or whatever, you know, there's different harvest periods, harvest times. You know, like blackberries you mentioned yesterday on the video, they around July, and if you miss them, they're gone. You know, so this time of year as well. You know, whether it's pumpkins or cucumbers or tomatoes or whatever it is you have in your garden, watermelon or whatever. They harvest at different times. So same thing with wild edibles. So different times of year you can find different things. But it's in September here in Kentucky, late September, getting close to October. So we'll go out, maybe see what we can find, and hopefully bring you some wild edibles, things that we enjoy. And like I said, this is why we're making this video, because some of you guys asked anything you're interested in, whether it's wild edibles, whether it's survival, whether it's backpacking, whether it's guns, knives, ammo, whatever the case may be. This is our interest and our hobby. We don't claim to be a know-it-all, but we do enjoy it, and anything we can share with you, any information that you're interested in, we'll do our best. So me and Catfish John's going to hit the trail, and let's see what we can come up with. Another really good edible, really good. Not only just for fun and maybe in a survival situation, but also for nutrition and just absolute joy to eat. And it'll take a little bit, it's to get a little bit of work involved. But a hickory nut. These hickory in this tree, these are the leaves. Here they are actually on the tree itself. They're falling really fast now. There was a lot more, but they're falling really fast. I gathered one here. That's what the shell looks like. This is the actual nut. They're kind of small, and then they're pretty hard. After you crack them with a hammer or whatever, you got to kind of take a little bit of work to get them. So they are going to take some work, but this isn't only like a survival food. This is just fun and enjoyment. My boy loves it. Matter of fact, one just fell. I heard it fall. So, but anyway, hickory nuts, tree, the leaf. Here's some on the actual tree. Pretty easy to identify. Really good, really enjoyable this time of year. There's several on the ground, so again, here it is up close. Another really good choice. Me and old Catfish John here is going to show you another really good wild edible that you may not know is edible. A lot of people, for some reason, you'll tell them that this is like, really, and they've enjoyed them as a kid. They like walking up to them and touching them and watching them explode. They've had fun with them. They actually didn't know that you could eat these. And not only are they edible, they're actually quite tasty. Got a real good nutty flavor. This here is the seed of what we call the touch-me-nots. I really don't know their real name, but for instance, like this seed here, when I touch it, see how it that right there is totally edible. I didn't eat the pawpaw on camera, but I will eat the touch-me-nots. Absolutely delicious. See this right here? Again, these are the seed pods. A lot of times when you touch them, see how they explode? That's why they're called touch-me-nots, or at least what we always call them. Catfish John here will show you some more. Now, this is pretty good, but they will bust on you. If they don't bust, they're not ripe. These all may be pretty well. These are small, but if you touch them and they don't really want to, like this one here, it's really small. If it doesn't pop, then it's certainly not ripe. But I'll show you the way to grab them. I'm gonna have to run up here and find some more. But I'll show you the way to grab them where you don't lose them, because like this one here, if you're not careful, you can lose the actual meat part of the seed when they explode. Here's one. Show them that one, John. This one did it. This one's probably plenty ripe. If you do eat one that's not ripe, it's nothing like a persimmon. It's not the end of the world, but it has more of a maybe a little more bitter flavor. There's a little tiny one there. But we'll go on up here and show you a few more, and I'll show you how to grab one so that way you don't lose the meat of the seed. This here is the flower. Helps you identify them. Kind of a pretty little, maybe orangey red and a little bit of yellow there at the bottom flower. That's how you can identify these, and also the seed pod. These are really easy to identify because they don't look like anything else. Like you see a good ripe one, the way I do it, you can grab it with your whole hand, or you can grab it with your fingers, and then you can put the whole seed in your mouth. No problem. Or if you're younger or just getting new to this, if you want to do it this way, it's perfectly acceptable. Just grab the whole thing in your hand, and see they both popped. But I caught all the meat of the plant in my hand, all the seeds, all these plant, the part that rolls up are all perfectly edible. And again, not only edible, but very good. So Catfish John says he wants to eat some, so we're going to dig in here, eat some, and then we will get on down the trail here a little bit. Now, there's more than one tree and bush here in the background, obviously, as you can well see. But this branch right here is the one I want you to really pay attention to. See this right here? This is the pawpaw tree I was telling you about last night. We're actually out here the very next day, because right after the pawpaw video we made. But right here, see the leaves, how they kind of angle down? There's really not many things that replicate that at all. So a pawpaw tree you can spot a long way off, and they usually have like the greenish to yellow leaves, and they hang down like that. We're going to walk on up here. I'm going to show you some more that hopefully we still have some pawpaws on the tree. This is the area where John got a bunch of them yesterday, so he's quite the pawpaw hunter, ain't you, buddy? So we're going to see if there's any more left, and we'll see if we can find you some that's actually on the tree. But those leaves, even in the midst of everything else, are really easy to identify because of their color and size, and the way they kind of hang on the tree, the kind of downward angle. Now, I don't actually see any on here. I don't see really any on the ground either, but I wanted to get you a good shot of this tree because there's really nothing else around it. And a good way to really to harvest pawpaws, I'm gonna get my little buddy in case one bounces off somebody's head. It'll be mine, not his. But they're usually not huge in size, so a good way to check if they are ripe or not is literally just kind of shake the tree. Now, I don't see any pawpaws on here, but if you would have seen pawpaws on here, I mean, you don't have to be King Kong and tear the tree down. Just a good shake like that. If they don't come off, if they don't fall off fairly easy, then they're not ripe, okay? If you shake them and they come to the ground, then that's probably a good indication they're ripe. And sometimes they will fall off and they're still a little bit kind of hard, more of a firm texture. They feel more like an apple, but they still fell off the tree. Literally, you can set them on your porch, leave them on your counter for a day or two. It'll ripen just like a banana, and you should be good to go. Right, Catfish John? Catfish John here, I'm holding him up and he's pointing. See how they kind of grow in the cluster? They don't always grow in a cluster like that, but I wasn't just saying that he's good at spotting them. His eyes are better than mine. He actually spotted these, not me. So those are pawpaws growing in the wild there, kind of like in a cluster, something like a banana. Now, each tree is a little bit different. They're not, the leaves are pretty much always the same, but sometimes they're not always yellow. These leaves I'm going to show you here in a minute. There's a few yellow ones over here, but they're mostly green, and sometimes the pawpaws can be hard to see. You have to kind of look in there. They're almost like they're camouflage. But she's going to zoom the camera up here, and there's a big pod here. There's a little one by itself here. There's several up there, but it's kind of hard to see in the green leaves. But now this leaf over here is yellow. But if you look at some of the leaves, they're not always yellow like that. Some is more than others. But they're all pretty much shaped the same, and usually pawpaw, the leaves are always kind of drooping down or has a downward angle to them. But you can see, let me see if I can put Catfish John on my shoulders here. Point to him there, Catfish John. And hopefully the camera will pick him up. John's doing his best to point him out. And we're going to do the shake on this tree too. I'll put John down here. We'll turn the camera around here, and we will try to see if we can't shake a pawpaw or two off the tree for you. don't try this at home, but Catfish John's adventures, and he's going to try to catch one. And as you can see, the pawpaw trees, they don't get huge, just probably about as big as you'll see, maybe a little bit bigger, but still very easy to shake. So I'm going to shake, John's going to try to catch. Don't try this at home unless you're adventurous like Catfish John. Tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
No luck. Sometimes when you go hunting, you go fishing, you come up empty. But we shook the tree. A couple of really nice ones there. Probably another week or so, and they should be ready. We'll try it again, won't we, buddy? This is something I want to show you, the skin of this and this, because if you're not careful, this looks like a chestnut, and chestnuts are fabulous. They're a yellow nut, they're sweet, they're probably one of my absolute favorites. I absolutely love them, but this is not a chestnut, even though that looks like it. I want you to kind of pay attention. This almost looks like a pear or a potato or something. The chestnuts, at least every one that I've known, the varieties, they have like spiky quills almost on them, but they look like this, maybe a little bit smaller. But be careful, because I don't want you to mistakenly say, oh, I've had those chestnuts before, those are fantastic, and get something like a buckeye, because a buckeye is not good to eat, where chestnuts are fantastic. So I just found this out here and just kind of want to let you see what a buckeye looks like. You know, it does look like a chestnut. It is not edible. It's easily identified by the skin, the smooth skin. So this is a no-no, no-go. If you would, just look at the leaves here, and you can see this cluster. These are black walnuts, and they're probably one of, if not my favorite. They're absolutely fabulous. And maybe if you can scroll down just a little bit, you can see the bark on the tree. And as you go back up, you can see these, they're green, and the leaves are almost like a fern type, but they're easily identified. And then I'll show you one up close. Now here's one of these black walnuts up close. What you have to do, and you probably need to get gloves or they will stain you and you cannot get it off. I'm not kidding, it's like varnish. But you will actually hold these, and then you'll see the black walnut, what you're probably used to seeing with a black walnut, on the inside. And after you hold these, you'll let them sit out in the sun for a few days. They'll dry out, and they're harder to get into. You probably have to have a hammer with some kind of a hard surface, a rock or something. You know, and the nut itself's a little bit hard to get out of the shell. Not out of the hull, but out of the actual shell, because the shell is really hard if you let them dry. But they are fantastic, good for baking, good for just eating as is. We absolutely love them. They've got a really good smell to them, but like I said, use gloves, some kind of rubber gloves or plastic gloves, because this will stain and it will get everywhere. So be real careful. Now, after they're dry, you're good to go. But black walnut, nutritious, fantastic, great food. We came across this little persimmon tree, and this is kind of what we mentioned in the last video about the pawpaws, is paying attention and knowing when they're ripe and when they're not, and when they're edible and when they're not. You know, people have a perception of persimmons like they're not good to eat. They're absolutely wonderful. They're fantastic. They're absolutely delicious, but you have to make sure they're ripe. If they're not ripe, you've probably heard people tell about a persimmon, and it just, wow, you know, it'll draw your mouth. It's just bitter and terrible, really kind of sour. It's awful. But if they're ripe, they're fantastic. She's gonna try to zoom up. I don't know if you can see them on the tree, but there's one, here's one, here's one, there's one over here. This is just a small tree. This is right off the trail. We didn't go deep in the woods. Like I said, this is kind of an impromptu video here on Sunday evening. The sun's kind of going down. I'm actually gonna get one and show it to you, but I'm gonna do it off camera because I don't wanna be jumping for one or lifting John up, and I just look like a couple of monkeys climbing a tree. But we'll get you one down, and I'll let you look at one up close. Catfish John is showing it to you here. This is an actual persimmon, and it is definitely green. When they are ripe, they tend to turn more of a reddish brown, very soft, kind of like the pawpaw. If it's hard, if you have to slice it, if you have to cut through it, then it's certainly not ripe. It should be very soft to the touch. Even just you kind of picking up, it should you know, leave almost indentions with your finger. This flower here, the leaf, I guess I should call it, is actually how it's easily identified. But like I said, you can see how green this is. Definitely, I'll wipe some of this white off here of it. You can see that color is definitely not ripe. So you would not want to eat this. I'll give it back to Catfish John. But those leaves there is how you identify it. They do have seeds in them. You want to be careful eating them. You don't want to get choked on them. You know, a little bit bigger than the grape seed, but they kind of remind you of a grape with seeds in them. This skin is totally edible. You eat the whole thing. You do want to take those leaves off, pop it in your mouth, and it is fantastic. Spit the seeds out, but they're really good, really nutritious food. But you do want to make sure they're ripe. But they'll ripen later. We went last year to a state park, and they had some on the tree. Maybe it's a couple years ago. And they were still good in January. In January, literally, it's kind of harder to forage in the winter time, but you can still find some good food even then. And we found some, and we ate and ate and ate, me and John, and we absolutely loved them. So, like I said, they're usually later in the year, but you can see what a persimmon looks like, and they do get bigger. And you can even buy them in the store. Like I said, we've had them at Kroger and Walmart. Different places will have them, but they're a lot bigger. But this is the same. But the ones in the store are more red like a tomato, but they're absolutely delicious, very sweet, very nutritious, very good for you. And she can zoom back up here, and I don't know if she can see any more of these. If I can get another one down here, but anyway, that's a persimmon. This is what the leaves look like. I don't know if you can see that. The leaves will change maybe somewhat in color, in size and shape, but that's basically what the leaves look like. And these are also very easy to identify. Another absolutely fantastic edible this time of year is the wild hazelnut. You probably get these in the store around Christmas time. I'll get one off the tree here or the bush and show it to you up close, but this is what they look like in the wild. They are absolutely fantastic. It's my wife's favorite of almonds, pecans, everything. This is my wife's absolute favorite. They are very good. Now these again aren't quite ripe, but you can see how they look, the consistency of them. And once you pick them, what you'll do is you'll hull them out of the hull of the green leafy part. You see there, it almost looks like a leaf. And then you will let them dry just like you would a walnut or something, and then they are absolutely not only nutritious but fantastically delicious. So anyway, hazelnut, really good, wild edible this time of year. It's fantastic. These are one of what we brought back from the wild hazelnut. They are not ripe, but when they get a little bit farther along, what you'll do is you'll just pick them just like this. And then what we always done is you can get a screen or something to kind of set them outside, maybe in the sun on your porch. When this begins to turn brown, it's easier actually to hull. But you will get this hull off of here just like this. Now they're smaller than what you get in the store, but that's the hull. The hull is not edible, so we'll just toss that. The hull is not edible, but there is the nut. And of course you just crack it like you would any other nut. The inside of that hazelnut is very, very good. I don't know how to describe it. They taste a little different than the tame ones or the store-bought ones that you get around Christmas time. They're the same thing, but these are a little bit, have a little more nuttier flavor, I think, and then the store-bought has a little sweeter flavor, and the store-bought's bigger, but these are really cool to get out in the wild. Really fun, really enjoy foraging, I always have. But this is another one of those foods I was telling you about that not only is it fun and enjoyable to go out in the woods and find and gather, these are fantastic, not only from a nutrition standpoint, but taste-wise. So it's one of these foods, well, it's just a survival food, I'll eat if I have to. No, we've ate these since I've been a kid because we want to. They're absolutely fabulous. They're wonderful, great little morsels of joy here. So wild hazelnut, and they're pretty much, you can't mistake these. There's nothing else that I've ever seen or know of around here. Check your local, where you live in different states than me. There may be different plants you can or cannot eat. So to always check and make sure. But as far as around here in Kentucky, there's nothing else that looks like a wild hazelnut. So this is pretty much foolproof. If you see these, they're a hazelnut. Good to eat. You're good to go. I think you'll really enjoy them. Really, this was just another impromptu video. We had homecoming today at church, so this evening we didn't have church. We didn't have our evening service, so we was able to get out here, but this was really an impromptu video. Like I said, last night we posted the video with the pawpaws, and then I know several of you in the comments asked for more wild edible videos, but as the year progresses, different times of the year, there's different edibles. There's two, and I'm sorry, I don't have pictures. I don't have any available, but that you might not know of, that's absolutely fantastic. fantastic that you're probably very familiar with, and one is red clover. The flower at the end of that red clover, you can bite it, just bite it off, and it is fantastic. You can shred them up and put them on a salad or something. Not only are they great, the flavor's fantastic, the nutrition's great, but they're really easy to identify. And that's usually what I stick with for the most part, is things that are easy to identify. Things not like, well, is this the poison variety or not the poison variety? I tend to stay away from those because you don't want to make a mistake. Red clover is very easy to identify. Something else that's actually extremely nutritious, a superfood, is a dandelion. Yeah, that little yellow flower that most people hate in their yard. They don't want it. It makes their yard, they're like, dandelions. Actually, those are fantastic. Now, you can do some things with the root. I personally never have, but the greens, the leaves off of a dandelion, be honest with you, they're a little bit bitter. So I'm not crazy about them, but I do eat them just for nutrition facts. But you can throw them in a salad, or you can steam them, or you can eat them raw, and they are a great source of food and vitamins and minerals, especially in like a survival situation or something, because they're very usually readily available pretty much about anywhere around here. The flower on them, the yellow part of the flower, is absolutely delicious. I mean, it is fantastic. You can eat the green part too. The green part, as you peel them down, like I said, in the spring or whatever, when they're abundant, maybe I'll do another video and show you a little more in detail. But the flower is absolutely delicious. The green part's edible, but it's not really. It's kind of bitter. So I just pinch the yellow part out, and you eat it as is. It's fantastic. Makes the best tea you've ever had. If you've got a steeper, you just put several of those the parts of the flower in a steeper with boiling hot water. Or not maybe boiling, I boil the water and then take it off. So it's still really hot, just like you would normal tea. And then you pour it in there and let it steep. I don't add sugar or anything. The flavor is fantastic. It's nutritious, it's healthy. It's absolutely a wonderful treat. So those are a couple. I don't have like I said, a demonstration to show you, but are pretty easy to identify and really taste great. So, and I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys, asking about this video. And like I said, I wish I'd had a little more time to show a little bit more. But maybe as the year progresses, things I find along the way, I'll try to compile another video and do something else like this. But appreciate you. Wish you and your family the very best. If you do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. It'd really mean a lot to me. Appreciate you. Anything you want to leave in the comments, something else you'd like us to see, if you have any questions about wild edibles or anything, video you'd like for us to make or something you'd like us to discuss or do, we'd be happy to accommodate to the best of our ability. May God bless you and yours, the Kentucky Patriot. Signing off.